in this profession. It's just, it takes a lot of patience and trust in yourself and a lot of work to make sure you're good. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Conversations. I invite you to grab your coffee, grab your tea, settle in, get ready to brew something beautiful with us. Now, if you've been part of these conversations, we're all about taking risk, getting a little bit bolder, sometimes even when life just gives you a hill of beans. So I want to welcome you back to Community Matters Café, who are changing lives one person, one member of our community at a time. Today's conversation is really special. And if you can't tell by my slight wardrobe change, it's going to be a pretty wicked combo today. I am very excited to welcome our guests. We have Jessie Davidson and Zoe Jensen here from Broadway's Wicked. And ladies, you are right now not in Oz, but in the Queen City. Welcome. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you for having us.
So like I said, these are really all about just brewing something beautiful and making big, bold moves in life. And you don't get to the boards of Broadway without making some pretty bold choices and betting on yourself. So I'm excited to dive in and talk to you both. But if anybody hasn't seen Wicked, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to pause right now, go watch it, and then come on right back, because we're going to be talking about everything from behind the scenes to your own personal careers. And so I'd love to kick it off with you, because you've been in multiple different musicals. You both have, and you've both performed, but something that you posted on your Instagram caught my eye, and you said, I'm really excited to celebrate an anniversary when you were in Hamilton, but that imposter syndrome can be really real. So looking back on your career, and now you are traveling the world in a bubble, how does that make you feel being really center stage in your own life?
Wow. Yeah, it's so funny. People think that when you're on that stage that you don't have those feelings, but my God, especially when you're in a hit show, you know, that it feels like there's a lot of expectation. Like half the time the audience knows the words and everything just as much as you do. But I've realized over time, and again, it's taken time, and I'm so lucky to have this opportunity with Wicked. For me to do my most authentic and my best performance, I have to really trust myself. I have to just connect with the people around me. I'm so lucky to have Jessie. We're like always holding hands on stage.
I know I saw you guys do it before the show, and I was like,
oh yeah, we're always holding hands. Because in those moments, I think I remind myself, you know, I didn't get here by lottery. You know, we work hard to get here. I've earned my spot here. You know, we've worked hard for this. I feel really grateful to be a part of this show, especially. Wicked means so much to me. I know it means so much to Jessie too. This is like such a dream come true for the both of us. So it's hard to not feel like you're exactly where you're supposed to be in this moment.
I love that you talk about embracing that moment. You know, Jessie, you talked about in one of your videos that there was like a no-fly moment. So there was some technical difficulty with what was going on. And when you kind of superseded that, you looked at Zoe downstage and you said that was who seemed most proud of you.
Yeah. Zoe and I think from day one just had this like, I'm holding you. You know, I remember us talking about it really early, like from the beginning, that we were like, we have each other through this, and we're going to hold each other through this no matter what comes our way. It's such an intimate relationship. And it's really funny because Elphaba and Glinda are together on stage the entire show. We never see each other backstage. So it's like once the show starts, Zoe always pops in my dressing room while I'm still greeting before the show. We have a little check-in just to be like, you good? You good? Yes? All right, we're rolling. And then we go do the show, and the only times I ever see her are on stage.
Yeah, or like a 5-second thing right before we come on stage, and we make the most of those. We'll say we're talking super fast, like, all right, are you doing good? Yeah.
Yeah, it's always like, especially right before Defying Gravity, we're about to run out into the attic, into this like crazy dramatic moment where everything we've known is crumbling around us, and we're backstage right before it, being like, what do you need? Are you good? How are you? You know, it's just those check-in moments, and we established that really from day one. And so whenever there's something on stage that feels a little funky, she's the first person I'm looking to, and I think vice versa. And it's just like, at the end of the day, it's her eyes and my eyes, and we're locking in and we're doing our show. And we had this amazing moment that I think both of us come back to often with our director right before she left us and put it in our hands, where she said to us, like, when all else fails, whenever things come up for you, just listen and do your show. And I think both of us just feel really grounded by the listening and the relying on each other as teammates. And
Yeah.
we were so lucky to start this journey together as a cast, as a principal cast. We all started fresh together. So finding that groove and finding that trust was just built in from day one.
Yep.
It really seems like such an incredible experience, and you both stepped into roles, obviously, as Elphaba and Glinda. When I first saw this, I have to say I really fell in love with Elphaba because I was like, oh, she's an animal activist. Really, at the end of the day, I don't know if anybody else walked away from that, but I was like, wait, I support Elphaba. I was like, I don't really know what the rest of this is about the first time I saw it, but I was like, she's here for the animals. We love this. And when I'm looking at both of these roles, obviously, those who came before you, these are roles that were really planted in Broadway with two very iconic women. So when you were looking at making these roles your own and still making them unique to Jessie and to Zoe, how do you go about doing that each show?
Well, I know that's hard because Jessie and I both grew up listening to this. So, I'm sure we have our, pictures in our head of what we thought this show was before we started. For me, day one, with kind of any big show, I really like to view it as a new show. I don't listen to any more soundtracks. As much as I love the Wicked soundtrack, I haven't listened to it in like 5 months. But yeah, I really try to view it as a new show. And again, I think it's all about the relationships, and it's really all about the story. So again, we're talking about connection. Connection really is, I think, the key to get through anything. I mean, even the imposter syndrome. But in order to make an authentic story, I think we really realized that we just needed to connect. But then it's also this kind of weird balance, like people love this show,
right.
And that there are certain like greatest hits, right? There are certain things that people are excited to see with Glinda or excited to see with Elphaba. So it's finding that balance of like, how can I kind of keep those things that I know people are excited for, but how can I also make it my own so that it feels authentic in my own body?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like finding the truth within the expected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know about you, Zoe, but part of my process is always like whenever I get a character that I'm about to play in my hands, I find like what is similar about this character to me, Jessie, and what is completely different. And then it's easy to connect in with the things that are similar, but it's finding the ways to connect in with what's different and say, how could I understand this person? What would make me like that? What kinds of moments in my life could occur that would put me in this frame of mind? And so it's just kind of breaking down the barriers between you and that character so that you can walk. We all know what human experience is like. So focusing in on what is this character going through, what would bring me to that point, and being able to, have something personal there that you're building for yourself to create your inner life as the character, so that even where we're working within, these parameters, this framework of expectation, you still have a personal connection to the material. And agreed, I stop the minute I'm casting something. I do not look at the source material.
You have
other
to.
than the script. The script is my Bible, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to turn off the sound. And I didn't watch the movie again once I found out.
No, I've only seen it once, and I think about it all the time, but I'm like, I can't watch it because it'll affect my show. I just know it will.
So different. I did go home when I was home for a small vacation early in the contract that I had contractually built in, and I watched it with my mom because she hadn't seen it yet. And I was like, this is so weird. I can't watch it. It's so different from our show.
Yeah.
The movie's incredible, but it is just so wild to think about seeing the movie for the first time, having an experience with it, and then totally wiping the slate clean, coming into rehearsal, building what our show is, and then now going back and watching the movie and being like, I don't even remember that this was what it was because it's just so different.
Yeah.
I think that's so interesting because it never occurred to me, you might not be able to watch this movie or when something comes out or whatever, or there might be something from that movie that's a TikTok trend and you're like, wait, I got to go figure out what this is to protect your show. One thing that you mentioned is finding that inner life that's similar to whatever your character is. And something that I feel like immediately connects you to is that friendship that you're talking about, that that trust that you've both been able to build. Do you think that that's a common thread in this story, obviously, between the characters Elphaba and Glinda? This is really girlhood personified in like a very different way. Maybe we didn't quite judge each other the right way on first appearance or on first connection, but there's really kind of the ultimate love. There is romantic love in Wicked, but also like the girlhood is just realer than the green, I would say.
Oh, I would agree. Agreed. It's that, and it's even those moments where it's like they're not on the best terms, but it's like there's still that love and that support there. Or maybe I don't agree with what you're doing, but I really hope you get what you want.
Yeah.
You know, and I know we've all been there because friendships are so complicated and things aren't always rainbows and butterflies, you know. I think it's about that unconditional love through it. And yeah, it's a really special thing to get to show on stage.
It's such a sisterhood. And I think, yeah, it's like you're watching two women grow up also, and you're watching them grow up alongside each other. And it's formative years, you know, they go off to school, and we all have had an experience where you go on a new adventure, whether that's school or some big career move or whatever, and you're changing in such a short amount of time. And you're watching Elphaba and Glinda really find themselves. Like for Glinda, she's finding depth within a friendship. And for Elphaba, she's never even had a friend. So you're watching these women discover what true friendship is like together as they're also coming into who they are as women, not just girls.
And what they take from each other, too. It's so fun to watch because, I mean, I know there are certain friends in my life that I'm like, oh my God, I wouldn't be the way I am today if not for that person, like, opening me up, or that person, you know, showing me certain things. And I think it's really beautiful. Even at the end in For Good, you see so many moments of like, oh wow, like you got that from her, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. I think Zoe and I feel really specific on like what those things are for each other, from each other, and also like we feel that in our real life too.
Yeah.
It helps. It translates.
Do you feel like play characters like this have helped you each find a voice? Because I think that's one thing that we see from both characters. Like Glinda feels like she really has to like protect the specific image of herself. Like Elphaba doesn't really kind of know where she can and how to speak out because people usually react negatively to her. But then I feel like towards the end, like we see them both really living in a truth that's made for them and being active in like what they want to see in the future. Like you said, maybe even if they don't agree on the path or whatever, but do you feel like that made you stronger in your life to voice your own opinions, to stand up for yourself, to take up that space that you, like you said, you have your spot that you earned?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the most amazing parts of being an actor is you pick up little gems with characters as you go, and it like somehow it always comes at the right time in your life, and you learn things about yourself. And I mean, for me, even one of the things that I take away from this show is like these two girls are so used to doing things on their own, but look at what happens when they, again, we're talking about connection, but look at what happens when they come together, you know. I think that's such a message the world can take, you know. And again, bringing it back to the imposter syndrome, it's like when you're in those moments, it's like, how do you get through that? You connect, you know. So
yeah, and that there's possibility for connection with people who are so different from us.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's so cool too because we're traveling around the country with this show, and like both of us have had experiences where we've been stationary with a show, and we've both had experiences with tour. And one of the amazing things is watching how different people respond to the same material. And I think, yeah, just being able to show up and speak the truth of this show to people no matter where we are, different kinds of reception, and hold firm in that. I think, yeah, it automatically gives you the confidence to do that. And, you know, getting opportunities like this and feeling like we can really talk about it in depth, I think it all comes from the work. Yeah.
And that's exactly what this is about, is taking people kind of all the way into something that you're doing. What do you think is something that people miss most often about Broadway or about actors and actresses? I know for me in TV, like people just have this like wild misconception of like the glam of it. And I was like, the glam is me, girl. Like it's me, it's my Rent the Runway account. It's like whatever Maybelline had on sale. And if we're really getting fancy, like the BOGO at Sephora. But you know, what do you think something people really miss about what you ladies do every day?
It's a really, really good question. I want to give you a good answer because I think there are a few things.
You can take your time and have coffee. We can sip on it.
I know where to even begin.
I think a lot of it is the grittiness.
Yes.
Like you're talking about, in a way, I'm totally relatable. You know, I think there's so much joy in the work, there's also so much, getting like elbow grease rubbed into whatever you're doing in this profession. It's just, it takes a lot of patience and trust in yourself and a lot of work to make sure you're good, because you have to show up at your most vulnerable, and I think that it's so much work, self-work in the off times, the things that people don't see. It's like the returning to New York after a contract, or when your contract ends and you're going to the next one, and making sure that you're a well-rounded person outside of the career, and Zoe and I talk about this all the time. Like, we've now spent almost a decade in this industry, both of us, and we're lucky enough to be working, and it hasn't always been like that. We've had periods where we've both struggled, and those are the times when you really get to know yourself. And so it looks, once again, like so glamorous, and it is in so many ways.
Or like it came so easy.
But it definitely didn't come easy. And like for both of us, I think we've had like this nice steady climb, but it doesn't look like this. It's like,
That's
it looks like the heart monitor at the hospital. It's definitely like
that's right. And
peaks and valleys.
I've really realized through my friends and through even like my mom, who's really reminded me, like, it's so important, like our self-care, or like really we have to be good with ourselves in order to be able to do this job. I think all the time about how what we do is like we go out there and we're being looked at by like thousands of people, and if you're not feeling good that day, it's a little bit like, oh God, like don't look at me. But it's part of the gig, and like, it's important to find that way to get yourself grounded again. And it's like, we have a responsibility in that moment, but yeah, it's not all glitz and glamour, and it really is. It has been a lot of moments of you are your own cheerleader, or your only cheerleader at that part. But you just have to have faith, and you have to be bold, and just like go for what you know.
Yeah, it's such a good point about showing up on stage on days that feel weird. Like we are our profession. I think in so many worlds you can go home at the end of the day and shut it off and like close the computer, and there's challenges to any profession. But I think one of the things that's so wild is like it's our physical bodies. If your voice is a little bit off that day, if you had some major thing come up in your life, you have to figure out how to basically compartmentalize and go out there and be exactly who the character needs you to be, and who the show needs you to be, and who your teammates need you to be. And we're lucky enough in our show to have great coverage, so if there's ever a time we really can't show up, we don't have to, but also we want to, and we love it, and we I think there's so much fortitude that comes with being able to find your way through those days, and that's when the growth really happens, like as an actor, performer, person in general. So yeah, it's a lot dirtier than I think people think.
Yeah, I love the fact that you talk about the nitty gritty. I mean, even right now as you're like playing with your nails, like we can see the green in your cuticles, the green on your palms. She was showing us before. She's like, you're like, you want to talk about being like, this is part of your brand. You're like, yes, like green in my all the time is part of me. But just building that character, like building that up. Like, are there ever days where you're like, please don't green me? Like, are there days where you're just ever like, I don't want to be in the bubble today? Like, what do you do when you're in maybe the valley?
I have to be honest, no.
That's fine. There's never a day where I'm like, I don't want to do a TV show today, because I'm like, I wanted this. Like Dolly Parton said, like when I was younger, I wanted to be a star, so I'm going to look like one, I'm going to act like one, I'm going to dress like one. So I'm like,
I love Dolly.
She's just the best.
Dolly's the best. Everyone loves Dolly.
Does anyone not like Dolly Parton? Like you know what I'm from. You don't make sense if you don't like Dolly Parton.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I've definitely had productions that I've been a part of where I've struggled with that, but with Wicked, there's just something going on in the water.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter what's going on. The minute I sit down in that chair and they start painting me, or I walk into the building and like we have our moment to check in, I'm there. I feel so excited to be there, and I feel like my first number is an expression of joy. So whatever is going on, I'm dropping into discovery of joy. And I think that is just a gift every single day, to be able to go out there and focus on what's going right, And I think it's just totally a mindset shift and a gratitude shift.
Absolutely. I mean, there have definitely been days where it's like maybe I'm a little tired or, okay, it's taking me a little longer to get to work. But another thing that gets me going is I see the audiences walking into the theater at the same time as me. Like, how can I not be in a good mood? Like, I know that feeling. I remember going to see Wicked at 11, and it was such a big deal to me. And how exciting that, like, we get to share that with them. And I feel the same way the second I get my blonde wig on. I'm like, well, how can I be mad?
Right.
This is so cute. Like, come on. Like, this is the best time. And again, we have such a great team, and it's just such a good show, and people are just so receptive to it, and you know that it means so much to so many people, including yourself. So it's like, I don't know, how can you be mad?
Exactly. The kids get me.
Yeah.
The kids really get me.
The ones that dress up.
It's
Yes.
the cutest thing in the world.
It's like a concert, the way that people dress up for this stuff. Like, it's so cool. I don't know any other show except maybe six.
We've been lucky enough to be part of 2 where this happens.
where they dress up.
Six is so good.
And it's that's another
so fun.
fabulous one, which I think is another reason why the both of us really understand the value of, like, sticking together, is that show as well.
That show's the same way. It's sisterhood. We've been part of 2 shows all about sisterhood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, six is incredible. And if you guys, that's coming soon to Charlotte, so that'll be really exciting. But again, like you said, it's another really female-forward power role that's flipping the script on kind of a traditional story, which I think is so incredible. But something that you were talking about is just like even everybody but behind stage. There are so many technical aspects to this show. We got to go behind the scenes and we got to literally see it being built, like your bubble getting hoisted on stage, and people showing me exactly like where your quick change happens and things like that. So when you have something that is this big and that is this technically challenging, can you just talk to people about the training that goes into that? Because I think people just think like, oh, you just jump into the bubble, the monkeys are just going up and down. These are people manually pulling rigging, and this is really challenging training like you would for an action film or something that everyone's being mindful of, and then you're going backstage and people are just like going back and forth. I don't think people get to fully understand what happens once you guys exit the wings.
Yeah, I definitely remember I had bubble rehearsal, you had levitator rehearsal, and it's also, you got to get your spirit ready for it too, because we're performing, and then on top of it, you have to like act like nothing's happening while you're being hoisted in the air both ways.
And it's like happening in a split second, and if it goes wrong, you're not doing it.
Yeah.
It's like you're either flying or you're not flying.
Yeah. The cool thing about this show is this tour has been running for, I think, 16 and a half years.
Yes.
So in my mind, I'm like, okay, these people really know what they're doing. They know more than I know what I'm doing, I guess. So like, I really can just kind of trust what they're doing, and they make it a point to really connect with us before we debuted and really like show us the ropes, and we take our time, and we're not going to do it if we don't feel safe.
Exactly. I feel so safe with our crew. I feel like they're always on it, and they're always showing up and with safety in mind for everybody all the time.
Yeah, that was a big thing that they talked about with us, is that like we're safety first, not just for the people who are like putting different elements down in the floor, but also for our actors, actresses, and performers. And they were talking about kind of the battle of technology, like, oh, some people want to bring in robotic rigging and things like that, and they just said, hey, no, because I want to be able to, like, if my girls need me, I can get them out right now. If one of my performers needs me, I can get them out right now, which is interesting to see how we're seeing technology come into the arts. And I think there's a great place for it. If it's designing posters and things like that, we can make that faster, great. But when we start to see things like AI models or AI portrayals of some of our favorite things, like, do you guys see that affecting the arts in a negative way moving forward?
I've recently seen.
I say yes. Like, I'll just be like, yes, you can't have my job. Beat it.
It's kind of scary. I'm like, wait, let's use human beings.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this is all about.
Train
like
the
the human
robots to drive
experience.
you, do laundry, things that we don't want to do.
Yeah.
Don't go taking Broadway.
I don't need to see an AI actor. I don't know. Personally, I'm
or
like,
a script, an AI script. Like,
oh my gosh,
there's that human depth.
I know.
And like, what if something goes wrong? I don't know. I think that, especially like with our show, there's so much flying, and I know they've talked at times about like automating that, like you're talking about, and we've had things happen, and the reason that they've been saved is because there's a human there.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how advanced it'll be. I guess it's all something we're gonna have to see. I think it's like, on the one hand, you don't want to fear technology because technological advancements have always been important, but I also think that the less human, I think a big thing that's a concern for me is like the connection that we've talked about. like we've lost so much connection, I think, in society in general, and then we're adding more elements where humans are taken out of the focus. And I think part of what makes the show so magical is, yes, the technical elements are so strong that it looks like magic, but also there's magic in the people.
Yeah, totally.
So I just don't want to lose that.
And I think it's so interesting. You know, there's so many high-tech shows nowadays. I mean, Wicked has stayed the same, and it still stands up against those other shows. You know, we still do it the same old traditional way. There's just something so special. You know, I picture, like, the guys on the flies. You know, we're all putting, if you, like, stripped back what was happening and just looked at, like, all the different things that were going, you know what I mean? Everyone is just, like, putting their elbow grease into it in different ways, and it's just so special. Like, all these people come together, and I mean that's what art is all about, you know. It's a collaboration, and so you don't want to lose that.
It totally looks like a pirate ship back
Yeah,
there. Everybody just
does. I've seen it.
It does.
Yes.
You know, yeah, it just runs like such a well-oiled machine, but it's also met with like silly little interactions along the way because there's a person right there, you know.
That's the other thing. Oh my gosh, the amount of like silly antics backstage every day, because when you think about it, like you exit at the same time every day, right? So you see the same person, and it's kind of like in an office, like you might have a handshake or you might do trivia backstage or have a little jokey moment. Those are like the fun parts that just, you know, even what we were talking about not being in like the best mood, like, you know, you look forward to those interactions every day, and it's like, oh, it just keeps you going. Like it reminds you of what we're really doing there. It's a play. We're playing, you know?
I love how you said that. Like, it's a play. We're playing. Like, sometimes I think when I get too like heady in my show, I'm like, I am doing a lifestyle show. I am talking about adoptable dogs and restaurants and current events and things like that. Like I need to take a breath. Like we're here having this conversation, which I think is incredible.
Yeah, and it's so deep, but it's also not that deep, you know?
Yeah.
Like I remind myself of that a lot. Like it's like we're going to do a musical that brings people joy and makes people think and brings people perspective. That is a gift for us and them. And to be able to be the vehicle for that. It's just crazy. Those are the moments where it's like the pinch me that it's really happening, you know?
What do you feel like was looking back in your careers, what was your first pinch me moment for each of you? Like when you're looking back and you're like, oh, this is when I came in and I was like, I did it.
Oh,
you know,
my
you got that first something where you're like,
in my career or in my life? Because I feel like once we start doing this, we're just on the train. Like it's felt like we're still at summer camp the whole time. I don't know. I'm trying to think. My first pinch me moment.
It sounds like so much fun. I wish I could, you know, sing and or dance versus just ask you about them singing or dancing.
I mean, you could always do it though. I think that's the other thing. Like there's always an avenue to like try something creative, even if you're not good at it. You know?
Yeah.
I think that's something like we've talked about too, like creative hobbies outside of what we do on the road, to just be like, you know, I don't have to be good at this. I've been painting a lot and I'm so bad at it.
Yeah.
Terrible at painting.
I'm starting to punch needle. Do you know punch needle?
Are?
Yeah, I got a kit for my birthday.
Okay.
It's like a thing, embroidery kind of thing.
You should go do that.
Yeah.
Let's have a paint and punch.
Paint and punch.
I love it. I love it.
Perfect.
Meanwhile, like I'm on the opposite end. I just ordered like character shoes and my first pair of ballet shoes I've had since like I was in my college
So
company.
excited
And I was
for
like,
you.
we're going.
That's
It
amazing.
was kind of sad days. I ordered a 12 dance sizes or a little smaller. Order a size up. And I was like, oh, like I learned that there were like Broadway drop-in classes on Thursday at Charlotte Ballet, and I was like, we're going.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, okay, we're gonna do it, and just like you said, you don't have to be the best at it. And sometimes I think we don't bother with things if we know we can't monetize it or like make it a thing or whatever. But you know, when people are like, oh, what do you do for fun? And I'm like, I got dogs, like we talk and
No, it's so good
stuff,
to be
like, and I go to work.
A full life. You want to kind of like
life.
create a full, well-rounded life where you do things that you enjoy, you know?
Yeah, and things that you're terrible at. There's something
love being
so
bad at things.
fun about being bad at something. 'Cause you
Yeah.
can also just, you know, it gets rid of ego.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not
true.
about ego anymore. It's like, whatever, I'm just doing this because I like to.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think then it makes you better at things that you do care about because you're like stripping away that exterior.
Yeah, I saw someone post something about that recently that just said, you know, we're so focused on creating those profiles and how many views do we get and this, that, and the other, which can be very addicting.
Yeah.
And she just said, you know, sometimes it's just fun to like pretend like your life is a movie and then watch the movie back on your own Instagram page, even if just your mom likes it. And I was like, you know what?
Why not?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think something about being in a creative space is like it's always going to be subjective. It's always going to be subjective. No matter what we're doing, there's always going to be people who find so much connection in what you're putting out there, and then people who just totally don't jive with it, and that's okay. You know, we're all in control of our own input, and I think it's just like holding firm and just being yourself and not having to worry about how you're perceived, because who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
But going back to a pinch me moment, I'm trying to think. I'm still, to be honest, like every one of these, you booked Wicked, you booked blah, 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 is a pinch me moment. But to be honest, nothing pinched me more than when I booked my first professional job.
Me too.
I was like,
That's
and it
true.
was, I would say maybe my first New York professional job, which was an off-Broadway show. And I will never forget, like, I just was like laying in bed and the email came. I was like, like, oh my gosh, that thrill of like, oh, I could really make this work. Because sometimes all it takes is that little crumb to see like, okay, I can make something with this. But I just needed to see that, oh my God, I ran and I woke my roommate up in his room next door and I was like bouncing on his bed. I just like, and again, every other one after that has been a pinch me moment. But there's something about that first time of like, gosh, you are your only cheerleader for so long and you know it. And like, and it, oh gosh, it's, I don't know. It was thrilling. It was thrillifying.
What was thrillifying? I love that. What was the?
It was a show called We Are the Tigers, and it was a horror musical, so like a horror movie but on stage, and it was about cheerleaders, a group of high school cheerleaders in a house, and like some of them get like murdered, and it's like a murder mystery. Oh my gosh, I just couldn't believe that was my life, and I made like $300 a week, but I was just so excited.
I think that's the law of the jungle, though, is whatever your first job was, you probably signed your rights away forever. I think there's like a law commercial that's still airing with me in like some random part of the country that I got $12 for. Like, I think that's just like a rite of passage.
Yeah, that's right.
No, it's so true, though. I feel like that first job was a big one. Mine was Grease in upstate New York at a regional house.
Yes.
I played Marty.
That's so fun.
And I didn't work for 2 years after college. And it was like getting that call, I had gotten so close so many times. I think it's definitely that, like, you just have to, the amount of belief you have to have in yourself to keep going after that long and just be like, I think I can do this. And like, isn't that wild? It's like 2 years of not working and then all of a sudden it just started snowballing. It was like totally fine after that. But getting that first yes is such a catch-22 because it's like you have to have experience to get experience. How do you get the experience, the whole thing? So I think that feeling was so incredible because it was like, oh my gosh, I stuck with it for a reason. Mm-hmm. And then I think for me, it was also booking my first like lead on a Broadway scale. Mm-hmm. That was like for me, it was the Pretty Woman National Tour. And love that. It was so fun. And I remember walking around Prospect Park and my agents had called me the day before to be like, it's between you and one other person. Can you send your measurements because things are happening so fast? We need them to send to wardrobe like immediately in case you get it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm measuring myself in my house with like a stone. And I'm like, if I don't get this is going to feel crazy because now I just also measured myself. And it was just, I just remember being like, what's going on? And they were like, we'll have an answer by the end of the week. So Friday at 6:30, I'm like, I'm not hearing anything. And this happens so often too, where you think you're going to know by the end of the week and then you don't. And so you have to wait at least until Monday because everyone's done on the weekend,
Yeah, except for you. You're waiting.
We're never done on the weekend. And so I remember I was like, I need to get out of my apartment. This is driving me crazy. I'm just going to go for a walk. I just need to shake it off. It's fine. And then I remember being on the baseball fields in Prospect Park in Brooklyn and getting a call from my agents, and it was a conference call, and the call kept dropping.
It always happens because they're trying to connect everyone, and then you're sitting there like, what's the news? Tell me the news.
But I'm thinking to myself, well, it's a conference call, so it's got to be good.
Yeah.
Because why would they all be telling me
Why would they all be here to tell me I didn't get it?
I know.
But I'm just still like not hearing the words, and it's just dropping and dropping and dropping, and finally they're like, we're all here, you got it. And I just remember like collapsing in Prospect Park by myself. And it's so funny, you have this image of like you're gonna book things and someone's gonna be there recording it, or like you're gonna be there with your friends and family, and it's actually so special to experience those things in solitude, because it's like you're hearing it from your agent, who's also been cheering you on this whole time because they booked you because they believed in you. And it was just like the first kind of life-changing job that I booked that I was like, this is going to change my trajectory.
Right.
And I know like a lot of people feel that with our show being like their first big Broadway tour or Broadway anything, where it's like it will never be the same going forward. You know, it puts you on the map in a different way, and you're holding yourself to a new standard of the kind of work you're going to take. And I think I just understood the gravity of that. The gravity. I was going to cut out the gravity. So I just remember feeling like it was such a cool experience to have by myself.
Yeah.
And then I called everybody.
Those are the best moments.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I love it. It'll never get tiring.
It'll never get old
to get the phone call that you were chosen, especially because the numbers are so wild, you know? How many people even like audition
and there's so
for
many
Wicked every
factors
year,
involved. You know? It's like, again, it's like in those moments, it's like you didn't get that by lottery, you know?
No.
Like you were chosen.
And it has so much to do with the energy with you and the people in the room. You know, like you walk into an audition space, and we've all had this experience where sometimes you walk in and you're like, I'm probably going to get this just based on the vibe here. Or you have an experience where you're like, there's absolutely no way, even though I killed that audition, it's just not going to work. Like you can feel it.
Yeah.
And that's the unspoken part, that doesn't matter how much work you put in. Sometimes it also just has to be the right fit.
Yeah.
It's like dating.
It is a relationship. You know,
Yeah.
you're creating something together, and they're looking to see if they can work with you. You know, it's so much deeper. You can't. That's why I feel like a lot of times you can't take it so personally. Like it's because of this. No, I mean, you know, some people might just have a connection with someone else.
Yeah,
you know,
it's so many factors. There's so many factors. It's like you can be, I think the baseline has to be your talent and your skill level.
that got you in the room.
That's why you're there. At a certain point, I think what's really exciting about our industry is like you show up in an audition and you're like, everyone here is amazing, you know? And I think sometimes you have that cool moment where you're in a room, a holding room with 10 other girls who look just like you or look nothing like you, which is also really interesting. And you bond over the fact that like you're all killing it, and it's great. And I think there's something really special about, I've made some of my closest friends in New York City at auditions.
Yeah.
Which is something that's so interesting to me, because obviously as a outside theater person, like we'll see theater talk and things like that, and you hear about like the high school group like back in the day, and like you'll see these things like in movies and things like that. I mean, just kind of like the stereotypical like you cheer, you know, whatever it is, the cheerleader or the prom queen or the football player or the like you said, the star of the theater, whoever it is. Like I do think we had two people who on Coffee and Conversations who participated in pageants, and they said the same thing, like, oh, you know, I've made some of my best friends here. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
You know, because you don't think about the places of your highest competition being where you make your closest friends. But you also, I think, have a shared experience of how hard it is to get to be in that audition space, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think at a certain point, we all understand that we're really only in competition with ourselves. And if not, like you can smell it from a mile away. And so I think
and we all have our opportunities, you know. I think about I've got a group of girls that I see pretty much in every audition. It's like 5 of us, and like we've all had our opportunities. So I think it's important to come into the room and you see them there. It's like, okay, well, I'm excited for you or me. You know, it's going to be one of us, you know, and we all have our time and we all have our moments. So you might as well support each other along the way. And maybe that's even a misconception, like we were talking about earlier, that people think it's so cutthroat. And you know what? It can be. It can be. It can be.
That's in any industry. There's going to be
so much more fun when you do it together. You know, it's so much more fun when you enjoy it. Like, I don't know, you just support each other.
Zoe and we've talked before about our audition experience for 6, because it's a really communal audition experience where you're in the room with everybody. Mine was a little bit different in that our vocal and acting portions were private, but like a lot of times 6 holds their auditions where you're singing and acting in front of everyone.
Because basically the whole show, you're all together.
The whole show
the whole
is
time.
that.
They don't leave the stage.
No, don't leave the stage, and it's 6 women. Like every time one woman is singing, the other 5 are backing her up. And so I think like, yeah, it's like when I think back of my favorite audition experiences, it's been those. It's been the ones where it's like, wow, that girl could dance, or like there's just something about her that's just like pure sunshine, and you can feel it wherever you are. In I think that's just so, it's such a gift to watch how people approach high stress environments too. So yeah, why wouldn't you want to bond with people who are going and putting themselves out there the same way you are? It's like nobody's going to get that experience more than other people who are doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to ask you both, because you were talking about going into these auditions and kind of getting ready. And I love the fact that you both have found who you are and feel confident in that, because I think we can get lost. I've referenced it before in these conversations. I kind of grew up thinking it was more like Hunger Games, and there were like 7 backpacks, you know, but there were 10 people, and it was like if you didn't go and run and get your backpack of opportunity, then you just had to fight somebody else for it. But that's not the reality of life. And so I think now that I'm like slightly more grown, I figured that out, and it sounds like you ladies both really feel planted in that like your opportunities are meant for you as long as you're doing your own work internally and externally. So when you're stepping into these auditions, or maybe you're stepping on stage, do you have any sort of ritual or superstition or anything? Like, we know hockey players don't wash anything or whatever they like to do. Like, everyone's got their kind of game day routine or ritual that really gets you ready. Do you ladies have anything that helps you prepare, obviously besides getting ready?
Yeah, I know, right?
With this show, we mentioned this, I really try to go see Jessie before the show. And when I'm not able to, I definitely feel a little not as grounded before my show.
It just happens, though, sometimes.
Yeah, but I really do think it's important to connect. There's the word again. Connect with the people that you're about to be with on stage. The first time I see someone, I don't want it to be us in character. Like, I'm someone that I've really learned that I will feel comfortable if, like, you know, I know that we're doing this together. I also get off my phone at half hour. I really think it's important to like lock in and like, oh gosh, I could scroll on Instagram forever, you know? So I'm like, let's get into this world. And then what else? So I don't know. I just really want to feel light and at peace, and like I'm just like floating on. I've done it before where I say all my lines before I go on stage, or, you know, I really am stressed, or I do a vocal warm-up, or like, you know, and that is a perfectly fine way to do it, but I just don't want to do it that way anymore. I want to have a good time. I want to be light. I want to be able to let things flow out of me. You know what I mean? Because I think that's when like the best art can come out. So that's my main goal. Whatever I need to do that day.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting. This has been the show of stripping away.
Yes.
Not the show of like putting on. Maybe that's just like Zoe and I are in such similar places, and like how much time we've spent doing this, and I don't know if it's like that we've just muscled through long enough that we're like, we can't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's not fun like that.
No, it's not. I mean, I think there's a baseline of things I have to hit before a show. Like, it's so funny. People are always asking like what my vocal warm-up is. I do like 2 or 3 small vocal warm-ups, and that's it. It's just more of a check-in.
Yeah. It's
less of like a warming up and more of like a, let's just make sure I've got my instrument today. Because it's there. It's there.
It's there.
You know? And it's so much. I think it's more about like mental reset, mental placement of like, I usually play music in my dressing room, and that depends on like what I need for the day. So if I'm feeling a little under, we're partying.
Yes.
And if like we're partying. And if I'm feeling like I need to ground, I'm going to put on something a little bit more mellow. And we both have people with us before the show.
Yep.
Our hair supervisor and makeup supervisor are both in the room with me, and Zoe is the hair supervisor. So I think it's also check-ins with our people who we see. So it's all connection, and it's all like, okay, team, here we go. What do we need today? How's everybody doing? Like, what do we need to get in the right place to do the show? Yeah, but it's more just like sometimes I like rehab things that hurt, like in my body. Because, you know, 30 is different than 22.
It's like, well, and you guys are doing so much out there. Like, when I'm watching everything, first of all, I have yet to understand, for actors, actresses, performers, how do you remember everything? I mean, I can barely remember what I had for breakfast, and the fact that like y'all are just like, crashing into each other. It's like, it's genuinely so impressive to me. Like, and I remember high school, college me, I'm like, okay, I used to perform, I did things like that, but I don't know now. I'm just like, I don't know if that muscle just didn't get worked anymore or whatever, but I'm like, I see you, and And even if somebody loses a shoe or whatever, I love that part of live performances because I think that's where you really see skill is when somebody kicks it off to the side or whatever, somebody moves it and like there's just no missing a beat or whatever, or someone's, whatever. But I mean, like what kind of training goes into this?
I know. I don't know.
So funny. Yeah, people ask this question a lot, and I think it's just a skill. It's like spelling.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things like...
Another skill I don't have. I'd be like, KAT, let me sit down. I don't need to stand up and embarrass myself for the next 45 minutes in this third grade spelling torture.
Yeah, I used to hate spelling tests, like terrible. But like, and especially don't come at me with a spelling bee. Like I'm terrified of that.
Why? Why?
But it's a skill. It's just skill based. I think we've been working those muscles for a really long time. That doesn't actually even feel like a part of it anymore.
I know, or maybe I don't know if it's because it's wicked. Like
we just know it so
this
well.
music. Like coming into this rehearsal, I had to learn my lines, but when it came, I knew Popular already. I've been singing it since I was 11.
Like we both know each other's songs.
Yeah, Carmichael behind the scenes, and I'm like, wait, actually, maybe we could do this. Like, I'm like, wait,
absolutely, you could.
If it comes in a soundtrack, I can do it. Not well, but
But I think it's also not to use our favorite word from this talk, but I think it's also about connecting the words to what's happening. Like if you know the story, you're gonna be able to remember the lines because you know what needs to happen in this scene. You know what I mean?
It's sequential. Like I think you're so right, Zoe. And like when people ask me how I memorize, like when I'm learning things, it has to do with like I read the show so many times so that the story is so clear that it's like a cue. It's cueing you. Okay, well, I know that after this happens. So what is the line that I say that makes that happen?
Yeah.
It's more, it can't just be empty words. It has to be, I kind of flipped my process. Like when I was younger, I used to memorize first, and now I do all my actor work first, and then I memorize and at half the time by that point, it's already sunk in because you've read it through a million times. But I think also it's just like you're making sense of something. You're personalizing words that weren't originally yours.
Yeah.
And both of you have been in shows. I mean, like you said, you have actor work, which I'm assuming is more like based on your character and you're interacting with Zoe and things like that. You also have the musicality.
Yeah.
And this show, there is choreography, not necessarily strictly dancing choreography, but like in something like Six, there's a ton of dancing.
Yes.
There's a ton of choreo. So are those all three trained separately? I'm asking because I have no idea.
It depends. Everybody has a different training route, but Zoe and I both went to college programs for musical theater.
I didn't have as much dance training, so Six was a little tricky. Six was harder for me to connect. The sequence of it all. No.
She was so good. I saw Zoe and like I can't even talk. I'm gonna cry.
No.
I cry about Zoe all the time.
I know we cry about each other. I'm surprised there aren't tissues out. That's literally we cry all the time.
We cry a lot on the show. I was like, I'm
crying. What time is it? Basically,
cry time.
Zoe. You would never know.
Okay. But anyways, I think
I'm gonna cry watching you.
Stop. We all just start crying.
Steel Magnolias rolled. Like no one cries alone in my presence.
Oh my god, I love Steel Magnolias.
It's so good.
So good.
But
I cry daily though. This is just
my personal tragedy will not affect my ability to do good hair.
There we go.
Oh
no, I think this show has also brought out a lot of emotions as well. I don't know if I just spoke English just now. I kind of feel like I missed words.
That made sense, and it's true.
But yes, I feel like we stay at an emotional
You have to because you're vulnerable, and it's like I mean, this is I don't know about you, but for me, this is the show where I've had to have like the most emotional availability.
Yeah.
Consistently. I think when people ask about Elphaba a lot, they're like, "Oh my god, how do you sing all those songs?" I don't find that to be the most challenging part, and I think we've both touched on this like in our own journey together, that it's like the songs are the songs, like we're trained, we know how to manage them. And Zoe and I have also said, you said this to me, I remember like week 1, that you have to be so technically on with this music or you actually won't sing it. Like it won't happen. So it's like once you figure out your technique, you can do it. It's the emotional journey that's what's exhausting about the show.
My God, we cry every show. Even if there are certain shows that like, and we joke about these, we're always locked in, but there are times when maybe we're even in such a good mood that like, I can't get so sad, It just doesn't come. But we always cry. Every single show.
I just can't look in her eyes and not cry. I'm
Oh
just so proud of her.
Gosh. I don't know. It's just
So cool.
It really requires us to be very available. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just been a lot of just ton of. I know, I'm like,
You're crying. We got ya.
I love seeing like both of you guys be so proud of each other, and I think just like art in general, like it is so much work. Like we get to see that beautiful finished product that you ladies bring to the stage, but like it is work, and like you said, like the emotional availability that you need to have, and that like you know your audience deserves. But like, what do you think it is that like pulls so much of that out of you?
I think that we have a service to do. Like, this is something I know that, like, when... Oh, God.
We really should add tissues to this set, not just coffee.
But I think we do. Like, our job is... I think that it's really easy to get in your head about, like... Oh, how am I being perceived? But it's not about you.
No, it's not.
I had, like, so much performance anxiety when I started Six because I was covering, and... Just shout out to like anyone who's ever covered anybody on stage, because it is wild to not be doing that full time and then have to like step into those shoes. And I remember like talking to a coach about like, how do I get rid of this anxiety? And she talked to me about like, why did you get into this? Like, why did you start? And like getting back to the purpose of like, I never started for me. I started to like it was about connection with people I was working with, but also with the audience, and giving them a gift. So it's like I don't think about myself. I think about like what they need,
which some people find jarring. I've said that before too.
Yeah.
Like it's not about me. I don't think about how I feel. Like when it comes to nerves and things like that, it's like in those moments I don't have time to think about what I'm thinking. What do you need?
I'm thinking about what Elphaba needs.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking like, how do I breathe life into this person?
There's so much going on. I can't stop and think about how I'm feeling. I mean, as long as I'm safe and healthy.
Yeah.
But you know,
it's kind of meditative. It's like you start doing the show and you're like, oh, I'm right where I am. I'm so present. I'm nowhere in like the past or the future. I'm right here.
Yeah.
Like whatever, like it just comes back to that thing of like whatever was happening that day just kind of melts. Melts away. Oh. Where to find gravity or melting.
And none of it seems to matter anymore.
Buzzwords. Buzz. But also, but I just like, it really is. I don't know, like some days when it feels tough, it's just I have to connect back in with the purpose and be like, even though this is somebody's first time seeing Wicked.
Yes.
It's
or
always
their last time.
Or their last
It's someone's first and it's someone's last show. I know, not to make us cry even more, but it's true. It's like, oh my gosh, like you remember your first show? Like I'll never forget like putting on my outfit, or like, you know, you make sure to get there early, or like, you know, like people really take this so seriously. So like I have to be there with them.
It would be selfish to not give it everything. Right. Like I think, and if you can't, then you shouldn't show up that day. I think like both of us know we know what we can pull out of ourselves even on a hard day. But like there have been days where I've had to be like, I don't have it today. Yeah. It doesn't happen a lot because I love coming to work. I love what we do, so I don't ever want to miss one. But if I know I can't, whether I'm sick or it's just like, you know, no, not today. I didn't say I didn't sleep the entire night before, and it could be dangerous to my instrument.
Exactly. And guess what? Because it's not about you in that moment. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it is, but there are understudies that can go on. Like, there's nothing more. I think it can be selfish. Like, I've done this before, where I've been so sick, like ill, and I'll come back to work too early. And I'm like, oh my God, why am I doing this? Now the audience is seeing like this character, and it's like
we're like
my teammates
our teammates.
Like you have to be thinking about the team. So, yeah.
I think that's a great point. Like you said, it's like just seeing that bigger picture, and in your case, the bigger picture of Oz. And now, before we round out our conversation, we always like to talk about what fills your cup. So as we walk away from this, and as you have talked about the connection and the piece that you have before you walk on stage, and just everything that encompasses, whether it's you at work, whether it's you on the boards, whether it's just you in your personal life, when you walk away from this, what do you want to tell everybody just really fills your cup up?
Oh gosh.
I feel like they just both
very emotional right now.
I think they just Zoe feels like I feel like they both just want to say each other.
It is. I don't know. There's something so like inner child healing about this process too. So I don't know. Like, I mean, again, this has been both of our dream shows since we're children. So there's something about like fulfilling that side of myself, or like, and I know doing things with integrity and like doing the right, I don't know. Maybe that now I'm getting all serious. Doing things with integrity.
You've been talking about it.
But
These are some really great words too.
We're like, we really have. No, but you're right. It is that. It's
that, like I know I'm being true to myself.
Back to your kid self.
Yeah, that's what fills my cup, and it can mean in many ways, whether the connections that I make with people or the activities that I do, or like anything. It's just I feel good, and my cup is filled when I know that I'm like staying true to myself.
Yes.
And like
Yeah, and like our healthy boundaries, I think too, like knowing when you can, knowing when you can't, with anything, like, and yeah, for me, it's, I think, making sure like all the relationships in my life are in good standing.
Yeah.
If I'm good there, I'm good.
Yeah.
And sleep.
You know
Sleep fills up
what
my
else
cup.
fills my cup? A good sing.
A
good
sing.
belt. A good wah!
Yeah, like, yeah. And a good, let us speak, let us speak, rich.
No, but literally art,
Yeah.
It's just that creativity.
Like,
but
this is great. We're just going
anyway.
to turn this into like a coffee shop jam. I'm just
Yeah.
going to let you leave it going. It's
Yeah, but it is. It's also sometimes like a weird hotel room saying that has nothing to do with the show. Like,
But maybe that's being true to ourselves again.
yeah,
I
it
don't
is.
know.
I feel like I remember my dad used to say to me as a kid, like, I always know you're good when you're singing. Like, I always know you're good when you're singing for fun. And I think that like it's always a check-in for me. Like, am I good? Am I singing? And I think like we get to sing every day, and we get to sing music that's meant so much to us every day. But it's also like the singing outside of work.
Yeah.
There's science behind it there's science behind singing that like you're exercising your vagus nerve when you sing, and it like calms down your nervous system. So I think just like our lives, like it fills up our cup just by like getting to do what we do, because it's actually good for us.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. So if anybody just needs to fill up your own cup, maybe just pick your own
Sing a
favorite
song.
sing along.
There we go.
And be bad at it.
Yeah, who cares?
It's okay to be bad. It's okay to be
Sometimes I
bad.
sound so bad when I'm home singing.
No, you
something
don't.
new. No, when I'm
Okay,
home
let's be
singing
clear.
something
She doesn't.
None of us are believing that. I'm so sorry. You had us up until
my
right
gosh.
then.
Never heard Zoe sound bad. Ever.
Ladies, thank you so much for joining us here on Coffee and Conversations. I know you definitely filled our cup, and everybody at home, I hope
you.
that your cup feels full. I hope that your heart feels light, and I hope that your voice carries when you have your own carpool karaoke today, because I think
Yes.
that's what we all need.
Yes, I think so.
Go sing. Everybody go sing.
Go sing and go see Wicked, that is happening right here in the Queen City to support Jessie, Zoe, and the entire cast in Oz. We'll see you next time on Coffee and Conversations.
Thank you so much.
To everybody out there, thank you so much for joining me for Coffee and Conversations. Now, if you want more stories of motivation, inspiration, and empowerment that can fill up your cup when it's empty, no matter where you are, I invite you to subscribe to our channel for more.